know.
I see.
And just publish it. And that was the hard part because it was such a lame cartoon. It was such a stupid idea that you know, I couldn't stomach doing it. And I went into the publisher. I had a talk with him. I told him, look, we're having problems here. I really don't want to sign my name to this thing. He insists that I do it, and I'll show it. You know, maybe I should show that first. Actually,
I think you should show it first.
this is the one he insisted that I do.
Oh God!
The only thing we have to fear is, and then it shows the Republican candidates saying, Negroes and Japs.
God. God. Oh boy.
And then the second panel, continuing, the only thing we have to fear is Negroes, Japs, Bush, and Quail. And this shows a Democratic
Can't believe
candidate.
that. I wouldn't sign my name to that either.
It's so bad.
That is
And here-
so bad.
Here, I don't know if I can scrape off the white out, but it's originally said writer Steve Perry. I mean, I just did not
They
want to
should-
sign my name.
I would
to
think
that.
they would sue their fanny for that kind of thing. Whew.
So
I bet the Japanese American community would be a little upset with that one.
Well, you know, I'm not afraid of that kind of controversy, and I've used that kind of satire in the past, but he's consistently refused to use that kind of satire when he didn't feel like it. In other words, if I had a good application of it, which this is not, this is a very stupid way to use that type of satire. You know, if you're going to use that type of a
Let's
satire,
really use real satire.
it should really be pointed. It should really hit the nail on the head.
Right.
This does not. This is an obtuse, you know, kind of.
I'm surprised City Pages didn't get sued.
Oh well,
I'm serious.
Who's going to sue though?
Well, the Japanese American community might sue it.
For
the blacks do not like to be called Negroes.
Well, yeah, I know that was part of the satire though. Here's another.
I don't consider that satire, but that's
well,
all
in this
right.
case, it was very weak satire. Here's another example of one that he wanted me to do. Now, this is actually not a bad concept. It was President Bush's inaugural address.
Get your finger out of the way so the cameraman can focus in on it.
There's a long line in front of a soup kitchen and homeless shelter, and next door is a department store with a television in the window and George Bush, and it's quoting his inauguration, or not inauguration, his State of the Union address last year. You must cut the capital gains tax. Those of you who say, oh no, someone who's comfortable may benefit from that, you remind me of the old definition of the word Puritan, who couldn't sleep at night worrying that someone, somehow, somewhere was out having a good time. Now, it's a good thing to attack that, but this is not the way to do it. And this did not lend itself to a cartoon.
Not to a cartoon. It's
too
too evolved.
Too wordy.
Evolved, forget it.
Yeah, it's very flat. And
If you can't get a cartoon within 3 to 5 seconds, forget it.
that's about right. That's right. Here's another one proffered up by my wonderful editor, Luther Darville at the University of Minnesota, and Oswald, Did They Act Alone? I mean,
I don't even understand it. I don't understand it.
But on the bright side, here were some that he let me do that were ones that I really wanted to do. Ones that I thought of. Here's the commentary on the downtown incinerator and all the demonstrations, you know, ban the burner, shut it down, little demonstrators down here. And I drew it visually as a big time bomb.
Yeah, right.
The longer it goes on, the more damage it does to us.
Yeah.
Takes a licking and keeps on ticking. Okay. That's a cartoon.
It's a cartoon.
That's
a cartoon.
You know. And when Governor Perpich was defeated, and of course, you know, the what they called Governor Perpich, his nickname.
Yeah. Yeah.
What is it?
I don't know. Yeah.
You know.
I don't know. Yeah.
Governor Goofy.
Oh, Governor Goofy. Well, he called him so many things I didn't want to commit myself.
So I did this one.
Hey, this is your show. You do the thing. What are you trying to do? Make me look bad?
Governor Perpich, what are you going to do now? Yuck. Well, I'm going back to Disneyland.
That's good. Yeah, I think that's
Want to see
good.
one
That's
more,
good.
or do you want to?
Duh.
Okay.
Hey, it's your show. Show whatever you want.
It's your show. I'm just saying.
Hey, I abdicated my role. I let you have it. It's yours.
The spearfishing controversy
Oh yeah.
shows the fact was that 94% of all fish taken are by rod and reel.
Yeah. Right.
6% are by spearfishing.
Yeah.
So this visual get the point.
I get the point. I get it. You don't have to explain it to me, Pete. I get it.
And well, that's kind of
Okay.
it's one
Whatever.
more here.
I'm easily pleased.
The new year. Communism and capitalism.
Oh.
The classic image of the big boots coming
Yeah,
down
right.
on the masses.
Uh-huh.
Oppression, shortages, militarism under communism. These are what they're suffering.
Yeah.
The little people here are being crushed. Under capitalism, which is a big clown
Yeah.
shoe like Ronald
Little
McDonald. Instead of oppression, shortages, and militarism, they have homelessness, crime, unemployment, and inflation.
Now that's a political statement if I've ever seen
Actually, we
one.
could add inflation over here now, too, it
Yeah,
turned out.
that's right.
So anyway, we have some more cartoons, whenever.
Good. Oh, we can hardly wait. With bated breath. More cartoons.
Must be that worm-flavored mouthwash you've been using.
Yeah, right. Are you going to impose upon us all the dirty dealings that went on in the, shall we say, the end of a glorious career?
Nah.
Nah.
It just should suffice to say that
There was a,
Well, it is
intellectual and philosophical difference.
yeah, and a managing style that suited Adolf Hitler. You know what I mean? There was a guy who would write from week to week in his editorials about the importance of artistic freedom and not to be a censor. And yet, from the same week to week, he'd be sitting in his office with me saying, "Nah, don't do that. Do that.
Yeah, right.
Do my idea. Don't do your idea.
Yeah, right.
Who are you? You're just Burger
Yeah.
King. You're here to serve me.
That's
I want it my way. You
Yeah.
know, this is
I know.
You're not an artist.
I can't believe the thing isn't making a ton of money because of all the advertising.
Oh, they are.
They
are.
got to be
Of
making
course
money.
they are. They're making money hand over fist.
Fist, yes, absolutely.
And under the irony is what part of what has allowed them to attain this is that they're doing it under the guise of being an alternative newspaper.
Oh, is that
Yeah.
what they are? Okay, if you say so. I didn't see too much alternative commentary coming out of it, but that's all right.
It pretends, and Steve is good at this, at pandering to the politically correct crowd, at writing the right things to satisfy those who've attended college in the 80s during the PC period when professors were teaching their children, that it's okay to force your opinions down someone else's throat, as long as they're the right opinions.
Yeah, as long as they're the right opinion, that always breaks me up. Jeez Louise.
And,
that political correctness, I mean, I must say with all honesty, I'm in favor of the Supreme Court doing what it did.
with
yesterday.
regard to, what was that?
To the cross burning.
Really?
Oh, yeah.
I don't know. In that case, I think it goes over the line because it's a physical, if it's on their property, if they did that on these people's property.
I see.
that's a
What you're
physical
saying
intrusion.
here, this is a physical violation of their property. This I can accept.
Yeah.
This I can accept. But once
suppose-
once you say we don't like your opinion, so we're going to abolish it, boy, that really causes me to rise up and become very angry.
Yeah, I agree.
Even if I'm on the other side of the fence. I mean, I'm sorry.
I agree.
We've got to defend this right to be most obnoxious person on the other side of the fence, if you can.
Well, simply because who's going to define where to draw the line?
Line,
You
right,
can't-
that's it.
That's why the founders of the Constitution did not agree to any controls.
Controls on that, and I support that in that respect. I think that the grouse burning was despicable, but that's beside the point.
This recalls what happened with the cartoons that first year that he was just starting as editor. I was doing what I wanted to some degree for the first 6 months working with him. And at one point, he came into the editorial meeting and said, well, from now on, we're going to have an editorial viewpoint at this newspaper. We're not going to have this variety of opinions being represented within the newspaper. We're going to have
forbid.
one editorial viewpoint. Now you notice, ever since he said that in 1989, every single editorial has been by Steve Perry. There hasn't been a single other viewpoint or person on the paper invited. Not another editor seems to have the ability to write an editorial that could possibly speak for the paper. It's really Steve Perry's personal vehicle, for saying what he wants, and he considered me to be an extension of that mouthpiece.
I see. He doesn't want anybody to say anything that he doesn't agree with 100%.
What really got to him was when he made that statement. I asked him. I said, "Well, that's quite a departure from our past policies at this paper. I've been here for 7 years, and we've always allowed some. Basically, most of the time I've been a columnist who was hired to express a viewpoint that was at least close to what we wanted to do, but we had a little bit of flux. We had a little bit of a spectrum, if not a complete spectrum, of opinions. And I asked him, how are we going to arrive at which opinions should represent us editorially? Is it
good question?
Is it going to be? Are we going to have these meetings every week, and we're all going to pitch in and decide which kind of hammer out an editorial policy, or are you just going to sit there and dictate to us, what we're going to think? And he just got, remember Nurse? I drew a cartoon of him when I left, showing him as Nurse Ratched.
Oh yes, I know.
Cuckoo's Nest. I mean, he had that look, that boiling up red, and the steam ready to come out of the ears. He just couldn't handle that,
He couldn't handle that. He couldn't say it's going to be Steve Perry's ideas.
You could see that he wanted it both ways. He wanted to make all the decisions about what the opinions were going to be. They're going to be representing the paper as a whole, and just coming from the top down, no input from the bottom. And he was going to, at the same time, try to pretend that, oh yes, we have a real alternative newspaper here, implying a democracy in the workplace, which is a total farce. I mean, the guy is total authority.
As long as you agree with me, we have an alternative policy.
Yeah.
Is that what you're saying?
So that's what I put up with the last 3 years. And as I say, though, there were a number of times, many times, probably a quarter of the time, he allowed me to do some of my best work. And we do have some more examples of.
I was going to say, you better do that because we're running out of time.
Okay. Let's see. What do we have up? Anything?
I don't know.
No, we don't.
I would think we're going to have some cartoons up, and I think we can get our astute cameraman there to.
Meanwhile, here's the final cartoon that was done. If you can get this. If you want to get in on this,
well, we'll get it. Don't worry.
They're
Don't worry.
playing
Be
video
patient.
games back there. So.
Please don't worry about it. You're hard to live with.
Another one flew over the cuckoo's nest. Here's the beloved editor, and my departure.
Okay.
So there we go.
All right, now.
Now here's one, an example of one that I really liked doing. This was when we had some hunger strikers in Minneapolis who were opposing American involvement in Central America about a year and a half, 2 years ago. And the villain, the big military goon, is standing there saying to the little hunger striker, "Oh, well, all right then. We'll stop, we'll pull out our troops immediately. We wouldn't want your blood on our conscience."
Heaven forbid, no.
It's kind of a satirical thing.
Yeah. Yeah.
And let's see, maybe you want to move down to, well, we already saw that one, so down to the bottom there.
Which one down the bottom? Bottom right there?
Oh, any of those on the bottom.
Oh, okay, anyone in the bottom.
There you go.
All right.
Oh, he was great to work with during the war, just because we tended to see eye to eye on what was happening over there. And this was a cartoon I did at the outset of our involvement in Iraq, when we had no idea, what the casualties would be. Actually, it turned out that it was a massacre of Iraqi civilians, which I don't know what good that did. I mean, we didn't get the guy who was
responsible.
They were already suffering from Saddam Hussein, and anyway, so we didn't get him, but the cartoon there was the wall, the Vietnam Memorial.
Yeah, I got the relationship
Down
there.
in the corner it says "To be continued."
To be continued, right.
So that kind of thing.
Mm-hmm. Now, do you want another one?
Should we go to another one?
We'll go to another one.
Over to the right there.
For those of us who don't understand your brilliant interpretation.
Oh, this is a good one. Benedict Arney, Governor Carlson, after he retracted his promise, after he was elected, he retracted his promise or his, well, it was unqualified support for choice. And after he was elected, he announced that, of course, it was qualified. Suckers.
If anyone believes a politician what they say, they deserve what they get. That's the way I look at it.
I like what Mama Dee always says. She says, I don't believe anything I hear, and I don't believe any of what I hear, and I don't believe 2/3 of what I see.
I like her. She's like that a girl. Boy, that's right.
This one turned out to be prophetic. This was right after the Rodney King beating. Mm-hmm. And it shows the LA cops, whacking the hand of the victim, and the authorities just lightly tapping the cops on the wrist with a ruler for their transgression. So that one turned out to be quite prophetic. I didn't. Mm-hmm. I mean, as it came down to the final judiciation, I really thought they were going to get it like everyone else. I was shocked, that they were not given any punishment for what they did. But the police.
Well, my only remark to you and a lot of other people is, if you've ever sat in a jury, you have to make a decision based on what the judge tells you to do. It isn't so simple to say, yep, the guy is guilty of sin, but the judge says you can only consider this, 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 and this. That's all you can consider.
Yeah.
You can bring anything else in. I'm not exonerating the jury, but those who have ever sat in a jury will understand what I'm saying. Mm-hmm. But who was on the jury? Come on, get real.
Here's another one that was. This one actually was done. The idea was arrived at through a group process, and it was one of the few that was a good outcome. Mm-hmm. Normally, when you have too many cooks, with a cartoon, they're awful. Right. Mm-hmm. But this one came out well. This is when Andrew Dice Clay was hosting Saturday Night Live, and in fact, they lost one cast member, the woman who would rather quit than be on the same show as Andrew Dice Clay because he's such an obnoxious racist and sexist. And it shows the crew of Two Live Crew, the band that had been thrown in jail a few weeks earlier for obscene rap lyrics for doing a show in Florida that was considered, quote, obscene. Yeah. And it showed the Two Live Crew in jail watching Andrew Dice Clay on TV saying, and it says, and now here's the host of Saturday Night Live, Andrew Dice Clay. And the caption was, nasty as they want to be if they're white. But really the problem with this was this was like the only thing from week to week that this particular editor would consistently approve of was anything having to do with racism. It was like, if I did a cartoon on racism, fine, then it was in. Any other topic, it didn't happen to interest him personally. And so,
I see.
His subjective rulings were based on what he liked rather than what the market would bear.
Yeah.
So.